Good evening, friends, and welcome to evening prayer with the folks from Prince George, British Columbia. We're really glad that you're able to join with us this evening for evening prayer. An opportunity to join together with one another, acknowledge the realities of the day that has been, and ground us in God's faithful presence. Today marks the anniversary of 1 week of the shootings in Nova Scotia. A week that in many ways has defined who we are as Canadians, that has shaped and molded us in ways that we might not have thought possible. And yet, here we are. So I thought we would take some time this evening to remember those who died, to call to mind their names, their faces, their loved ones, to acknowledge the hole that they leave in the lives of those that love them and in the lives and the fabric of their communities. And so this evening we name and remember Lisa McCulley, Constable Heidi Stevenson, Heather O'Brien, Jolene Oliver, Aaron and Emily Tuck, Kristen Beaton, Sean McLeod, Alana Jenkins, Tom Bagley, Joey Weber, Greg and Jamie Blair, John Zal, Joanne Thomas, Lillian Hislop, Don and Frank Gulinchin, Gina Goulet, Carrie Ellison, Joy, and Peter Bond. We hold a moment of silence to acknowledge who they were, the lasting impression they have left, the gap that continues to exist. And so we gather together for evening prayer. We hold sacred the challenges of this day and the affirmations, the things that have made us wonder about the state of humanity and the things that has caused us to celebrate in who we are. We acknowledge the ability to gather together for worship, to share the good news of Christ's resurrection with one another, to revel in the reality that many who encountered the risen Christ didn't know who he was. And yet, in the experience of Jesus, their eyes were opened, their lives were changed, and new things emerged in their midst. And so we acknowledge that that's who we are called to be. And so we gather for prayer. We relight our Christ candles. We place hearts or broken hearts in our windows, symbols and reminders of hope and the reality of our brokenness. We gather together for prayer so that those things bring us fear and anxiety and anger and grief can diminish by our naming of them. And the things that bring us life, the hope, the peace, the joy, the love, the compassion, the justice, the equity of God, those things can become larger in our lives. So this evening I thought I'd do something a little different, and I would share with you a prayer from Nadia Bolz-Weber. Let's join together in prayer. We give you thanks, O God, for the wonders of this day, that we ground ourselves in your holy, sacred mystery that spans both time and space, that calls together the irregular, the folks that would never otherwise gather together in the same room, let alone break bread together, join together at your table, embrace your gospel. And so today, we pray for those who are giving birth alone, for those who are grieving without their people, for the beleaguered parents who ran out of creative ideas 2 weeks ago, for those who don't know where this week's grocery money will come from, for everyone who has watched the date of their wedding and now wonder if it will ever happen, or their graduation, or their birthday, or their dissertation defense, or their long hoped for vacation, or family reunion, or the non-essential medical procedure they hoped would change their life. Come and go. For the exhausted and the despairing, I ask that you comfort, your presence and your peace be felt. And if that's not possible, could you just nudge the right person to reach out and call them? Just that, Lord. Just that. We pray for the animals who get to have their people home all day, for a slow enough life that allows for baking and a garden and the use of cloth napkins, for the comfort of sweatpants, for the bursts of creativity that keep coming from artists and musicians and writers, for the people on Instagram who are getting us through this, for the people who keep us dancing, for fellow hunker-downers who keep us laughing, for the journalists who just keep going so we can be informed, for the gratitude shown for health workers and grocery store cashiers and delivery folks, for the gifts that have been dropped off on our doorsteps, for the cookies, the muffins, the tarts, the wine, the biscuits, the cheese, the reminders that we are connected, for the things I no longer take for granted. I give you thanks. Amen. Friends, on behalf of the people at Trinity United Church in Prince George, British Columbia, on this, the 26th day of April, we hope this evening finds you in a place where you can be safe, be calm, and be community. If that's not the case, please reach out to someone. And if that is the case, please reach out to someone. Let's both be the Christ and receive the Christ as we continue to work through this physical distancing and self-imposed isolation from one another. Let's not lose sight of the fact that our isolation does not need to be isolating, and that together we can build, nurture, and sustain community. And so as the shadows of this evening lengthen and the possibilities of tomorrow emerge, we hope you find a gentle rest, and it brings you comfort and peace and courage and understanding. And that you'll join us again tomorrow evening at about 8 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time for evening prayer.